Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Edward Otto Zelke, and let's queer up politics. Pete Buttigieg asks what is the cost to win back young American men. Pete Buttigieg is once again making headlines, this time for his attempt to appeal to young American men. In a new interview with GQ, part of the magazine's State of the American Male in 2025 series, the former transportation secretary and openly gay former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, spoke about what masculinity means today and how society should engage younger men who feel politically alienated. Buttigieg told GQ, quote, "There's clearly been a turning just in the last few years. And it was brought out in the election. But it's not just about the election, where I think you have a lot of younger men who view the things that have changed as going so far that they no longer see where they would fit in a more progressive story," end quote. He called that a tragedy, saying that young men may have the most to lose in today's political climate. Buttigieg, who ran for president in 2020, argued that the left has contributed to alienation by creating what he described as a culture of scolding and finger-wagging. He suggested progressives need to provide an alternative vision for masculinity beyond the toxic label. His comments touched on sensitive issues including gender-based discrimination, the Me Too era, and political backlash to movements like Black Lives Matter. Buttigieg emphasized that equal treatment for women and protections against harassment should not be seen as threatening. Still, Buttigieg's moderation has drawn criticism. Some argue his outreach risks legitimizing conservative ideologies, including those hostile to LGBTQ plus people. As speculation grows about a 2028 presidential run, Buttigieg continues to walk a fine line between courting young men and mainly credibly with his own party's base. To know more about the story, read an opinion piece written by Elaina Patton, a New York-based writer and editor at out.com. Well, this is definitely something that, I've thought about myself as a gay white man, and how do you, I look at where I was affected by masculinity and toxic masculinity. And, I was always somebody that kind of refrained and was always afraid of confrontation with that. And so I would always try to present myself a little bit more masculine just because I was afraid of being perceived in some sort of feminine way. So I had this always perception that I always had to be somebody else that I wasn't. And so I think what Pete is trying to do is he's trying to reach them at a young, vulnerable age, maybe at some point, and just trying to maybe change the narrative a little bit. It is a little bit, it is a little bit back and forth. I think, you can, there's good points and there's bad points, but I think he's just trying to find a common ground in all of it.
Yeah. Well, you were code switching just to protect yourself, right? Basically, you know what I mean? I think we need a new vision of what masculinity looks like, right? A masculine man that can cry, that can be sensitive, right? But he can also go play rugby, and we don't have that.
And we don't have any judgment of that either,
no,
because that all encompasses masculinity. I think that's what he's trying to get at. But, as growing up, if I was upset or if I was crying, I was just told to stop being dramatic, So, those words hurt.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Well, I think he's also, clearly trying to find a way to message to this demographic, for want of a better word, that was so taken by the right wing and all the podcasters and all that.
Right.
They found, that's what the right wing did. They found a way in with TikTok and these different podcasts. That's how Trump got elected.
Almost
primarily.
Almost playing on they're feeling like they're left out in some sort of way.
And really playing into what we might call the toxic masculinity, digging deeper into it, doubling down on it rather than saying, "Oh, that's
that's not me. I'm not going to bring that."
Well, I think they would double down. They wanted that is me, and I'm going to go more into
exactly.
that.
Listen, as a kid, think about MMA fighters. Think about world wrestling. You know what I mean? That's their demographic. But Pete would have to go find them at 3. You know what I mean? To
Fresh
try
out
to
of the
turn them
womb.
away.
Oh, hey.
Understand that. You
Fresh
know what
out
I
of the
mean?
womb. Hey.
Hi, as you're coming out of the vag. Hey, I mean, we need a butch man that's gay out there
Well,
in the forefront. We need, no, we do. I'm sorry, Pete, I love you to death. You know what I mean? We need a John Cena up there. We need like a big burly guy that, yes, I sleep with men, and what are you gonna do about it? You know what I mean?
The Rock or somebody like that.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like,
no, but you know what? I
Pete
think
está solo.
I think
Poor guy.
I think
right.
the gay community at least is beating them at that game. I think at least because before what you used to watch on TV were gay men, like it was just Liberace, like the kind of, and even though he was a gay publicly,
Paul
that's
Lynn.
what, Paul Lynn, Richard Simmons, and all these people that, they were great, but they were the laughing stock for the straight community. Now we can be drag queens, very popular on TV, and then butch,
look at Jonathan
military,
Jonathan Bailey, for example.
people that are very out, but also the stereotype of the straight man, the hot straight man. So they don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Because before they can label us a certain, we get given that label. Now you can.
That's a really good point.
So
Yeah, because there's too many people also in the closet because of the current climate that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And people and those big burly men that are never going to come out because they see the state of the world right now and they're like, I'm good.
Right.
Or women, see these gay men out on the streets, and they're so hot and so masculine, they don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of that. So, but the Republicans are good at branding. And branding wokeism, and these kind of
Even
things.
though they're the ones, even though they're the ones crashing grinders.
Right.
100%. Like these are people that like made DEI a bad thing, and they don't even know what the acronym means.
I have no idea.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, well, that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.